So, in this week's topic, we are going to be focusing on setting intentions that actually stick without pressure or perfection. So, this is being recorded live in August. It's the first week of August, and I think this is a really great month to sort of reset as we go into the second half of the year. So, in my view, July is always sort of that crazy month of, vacations, time off, time with family, peak summer, hopefully trying to find some time to relax and enjoy the sunlight if you are in the northern hemisphere, of course. Um, and so, August is really that time to sort of kick things back into gear as we go into the second half of the year. Back to school usually starts in August. August is a really great opportunity to kind of ramp back into that, season of getting back to, normal, getting back into the groove of routines and, you know, uh, going into the second half of the year. I just feel like it really kind of compiles really quickly. So you have holidays coming up, got to figure out your Halloween costume, got to make the plans for Thanksgiving. What are we doing for Christmas? It's like it feels nonstop once you hit September, at least in my mind. So I'd love to hear what your experience is. But that's why I feel like August is such a great time to sort of come back to ourself and kind of get prepared mentally for what is to come in the rest of the year. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And, if you are someone that likes to set intentions or goals or resolutions at the beginning of the year, I think now is a really fantastic time to maybe check in with those goals. Maybe you forgot about them, which is totally normal and I think quite common. Maybe even expected based on how goal setting has traditionally been taught. So I think now is a great time to maybe recalibrate what some of those goals or intentions are to take us through the rest of the year. And then, we can always decide what we want to do next year later. So that's what today's topic is about. We're going to come back to ourselves. We're going to do this in a slightly different way. So I'd like to share with you sort of a framework that I use when it comes to setting intentions, setting goals, and invite you to join me. So let's get going. Let's dive in. What I'd like to do first is I'd like to have you join me in a moment of mindfulness. So if you're able to, and hopefully you are as you're watching this, I'd like you to try to come to a pause, to a comfortable seat. And if you can, close your eyes if it feels comfortable to do so. Close your eyes and allow yourself to get present to your body, to your mind, to this moment. And allow yourself just to start to feel your feelings. Allow yourself to start to become aware of your feelings and just notice what they are without placing any judgment on them. No critiques, no shoulds, no I wish I did feel this way. Allow yourself to come home to this moment. And if it feels okay to do so, or if it feels natural, maybe bring one hand to your chest and one hand down to your belly. And allow yourself to get a little more acquainted with your breath. Allow yourself to breathe in through the nose and allow it to come out softly through the mouth. And as you continue to breathe, notice where the breath is going. And notice what it's doing to the body. Is it lifting your hand on your chest? Is it lifting your hand on your belly? Do you feel it lifting your shoulders? Do you notice any clenching anywhere in the body, any tightness that you're holding on to that maybe you can release? And as you're noticing where the breath goes, perhaps guide it toward that bottom hand, that hand that is just over the low belly. Imagine your breath coming all the way down to where that hand is. And as it leaves, allow the shoulders to soften, allow the neck to relax. Allow yourself to take another couple of deeper breaths here and just focusing on the breath itself. Imagine with your mind where it's going and allow your body to tell you how it feels. Beautiful. Now I invite you to relax your hands, and if you feel like you're in a good mental space, feel free to keep your eyes closed. If that does not feel like a comfortable place to stay, then you're welcome to open them. But I invite you to stay in that space that you just created with your eyes closed. As we talk through a 3-part plan, a 3-step series, a little guided framework that I can share with you to help you set intentions that feel aligned with your values. When you allow yourself to become quiet, to become still, to connect with your breath, even just for a moment, you're allowing yourself to reconnect with your core, your values, the inside of you, your gut, your instincts, without letting the distractions of the mind sway you one way or the other. First, I'd like you to consider how you're feeling. If that feels like a loaded question, that's okay. No judgment from me or from you about the answer to that question. But I will say, if that feels like a loaded question, I invite you to try asking it to yourself a little more frequently. So it becomes, little by little, a little easier to answer each time. It's a muscle, it's a skill, it's a thing worth practicing. So what are some answers that you might be coming up with? Well, it might be some things about how your body's feeling. It might be some things about how you're feeling about yourself. Maybe there's some situations that are coming to mind that you're finding particularly stressful or weighing on you heavily. Just allow yourself to observe where your mind is going when you answer the question, how am I feeling right now? What areas of your life is your mind bringing to the surface, bringing to your awareness? And notice how you feel about each of those circumstances, each of those categories or topics. maybe simplify it so much as to say, do I feel more positive, more negative, or completely neutral about this topic? When we break down my method or framework to its simplest forms, it is 3 questions. Where am I? Or how am I feeling? 2 is, where do I want to go? Or what do I want? How do I want to feel? And 3 is, how do I get there? It's as simple as that. That is the wisdom that I have to share boiled down. But where it becomes powerful is when we ask this more frequently and we allow ourselves to listen for the answers, not think our way through what we think the answers should be, allowing our body and our internal wisdom to float the answers toward the top. What do they say? The cream of the crop floats to the top, right? Allow those answers to come from within. And if this is something that you're new to, this might seem like a difficult or foreign concept, and that's okay. It is okay to have a new experience presented to you and not be quite sure how to respond to it yet. But that's why this moment of pause, of connection to your breath, of mindful awareness is fantastic practice and allows you to get quiet and start to listen to the answers that come to the surface. But you can take as much time as you need and do this as frequently as you like. And what you'll begin to notice is that your values start to rise to the surface, and the areas of your life that matter most come to mind most quickly. Maybe there's a pain point that you're trying to resolve. Maybe there's something that you're excited about that you just can't quite get to yet. Allow those different thoughts to arise and just see what they are. And try to practice viewing them without any judgment. Don't hold yourself accountable to what your mind does. Just notice as if you were an innocent bystander walking down the street, not having any idea what somebody else is thinking. Keep that same level of non-judgmentalness toward your own thoughts as they come up. And as those thoughts come up, those different areas that answer, how am I feeling right now? Notice where you might want them to go. So if you do have a situation that's coming to mind that is leaning toward the negative side, maybe imagine a more positive outcome. If there's something that you're totally neutral about, ask yourself, why do I think this came to my mind so quickly? If there's something that you're particularly excited about, maybe you can work on it or you can't get to it yet, ask yourself, how do I lean into this thing that brings me so much joy? And those answers to those questions are step 2. Where do I want to go? Now, we can do this on a small scale of, what do I want to achieve or accomplish or influence or get closer to achieving this week, or we can zoom this out on a bigger lens to what do I hope to accomplish in the next 6 months? How do I hope to feel a year from now? This exercise can work on a very small scale, or on a very big scale. That's like an accordion, right? It can work really small or it can work really big. But by practicing this more frequently, we will start to see patterns in our answers. And hopefully, our long-term vision of what we want to achieve starts to become more clear. And that is where, my friend, your intentions, your deep-rooted, value-based intentions really come from. When you start to envision what you want to see and the vision keeps coming back, and then you make baby steps toward that vision. And then eventually, maybe you'll start making bigger steps, but we don't have to worry about that yet. So as you are answering the question, what do I want? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? How do I want to feel about some of those categories that came to mind? Maybe you'll start to see a little pathway emerge. First steps to get there. Maybe there are some roadblocks. Maybe there are some gaps not filled in yet. But perhaps you'll start to see the path of where you want to go. Maybe you'll notice that it's a time-based constraint and maybe you have to shift some things around in your schedule. Maybe there is a personal thing that you have to overcome, like a fear of talking about something, or a fear of sharing that that's your goal, or a fear of sharing your feelings. Maybe there's a conflict that you need to address, that you need to bring light to. Maybe that's the path, is addressing that fear and overcoming that obstacle of having a difficult conversation. Maybe it's a skill that you don't yet have. So maybe there's a training that you can sign up for to achieve that skill. Wherever it is that we're trying to go, maybe you can start to see the path that gets you a little bit closer. Take a few more deep breaths here. If you opened your eyes, maybe close them one more time. Just to reconnect to the body and the present moment. So allow yourself to stop planning, stop getting to the next step, come back to that present moment. Come back to your breath. And then let's all open our eyes together in 3, 2, 1. Now, if some things came to mind, I highly encourage you to jot down some notes. You can use the Notes app on your phone. You can do an audio memo on your phone. You can write it on a pen and with a pen and paper in your journal. This practice, this simple 3-step practice, how do I feel or where am I now? How do I want to feel or where do I want to go? And how do I get there? That 3 simple steps is so powerful, and it will allow us to achieve our biggest goals, the highest achievements that we can imagine for ourselves. But we do have to practice it. And we have to practice it mindfully. Because if you just start finding goals out there to put on a piece of paper, lose 30 pounds in a week. Okay, cool. It was specific, it was measurable, it was technically attainable, it was time bound. Cool. It's a SMART goal, it's a goal, it checks the boxes. But are you going to actually achieve it? Do you even really want to do all the things that it would require to lose 30 pounds in 1 month? Or 1 week or whatever I said? No, that's not a value-based aligned goal or intention. So by coming to this process mindfully, we are able to stay with the goal by making it an intention, something that we continue to work towards. And we can recalibrate as our values adjust or shift, or things in our life adjust and shift. We can come back to this. Maybe the end goal stays the same, but how we get there changes. Or maybe the end goal wasn't the right path for us, so we found a different detour that we like more. Thanks for letting me spend a little bit extra time in today's live. I like this opportunity to get quiet, to get still, to get connected with you. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.